It was here they had to decide to go to the left, up, or to the right, down. Right looks like the bigger road. Right looks like the better road. But right is the wrong road. Their only sign that would have told them that would be right here, which said the coast was this way. Again, it was snowing, it was dark. They may have missed it. And the only sign warning them that going to the right was wrong would have been right down here, on the pavement, painted Dead End, which was covered in snow.
Life was good for James Kim and his family. They were young, happy and healthy, but they felt like something was missing in their lives. This was the place to call home, somewhere away from California where they could raise their children and grow old together. One place they had in mind was Seattle. Not only is Seattle home to one of the largest tech industries in the world, but they had friends and family there. So, a few weeks before Thanksgiving, they used this as an excuse to have a vacation and visit family whilst down there before heading back home. Except, they never made it back to California. On the 25th of November, the Kim family disappeared without a trace. What happened to James Kim and his family? This is Wrong Turn, the Kim family tragedy. James Kim was born on August the 9th, 1971, and from the start, he was destined for great things. After graduating from Ballard High School in Kentucky, he moved to Ohio, where he double majored in government and English. James moved to California, where he became an American TV star, reviewing products for shows such as Screensavers and Fresh Gear. James met his future wife-to-be when he was 26 years old, after she took a road trip to Northern California with college friends. She said, "He was the cutest thing I'd ever seen in my life. We got matching tattoos, and that was pretty much how we met. We were inseparable after that." To everyone around, it was obvious how much the two loved each other, and in 1999, the two jetted off to Vegas to get married. Katie was equally as successful. By the early 2000s, she owned 2 retail stores in San Francisco. Michael Burke, a friend of the family, said, "They were always looking to do something better, to be something better. They had dreams. They had lots of big dreams, and they were very proactive in making those dreams come true." The couple went on to welcome their first child, Penelope, into their lives in 2002, and their second child, Sabine, was born in 2006. They were a very happy family, with everything they ever wanted, but by 2006, the two were ready to move out of California and find a new place to live, to further their careers and raise their children. For Thanksgiving 2006, they decided to visit family in Seattle. The trip served 2 purposes. The first was to visit family and friends, and the second was to see if Seattle would be a good fit for their move. So a few weeks before Thanksgiving, the family set off in their car to Seattle.
They arrived in Seattle fine, and after spending a successful Thanksgiving with their family, decided to drive home on the 24th of November. It was a long drive, so Katie suggested that they stop in Portland where she had friends, and stay the night in a hotel, which they did. The morning of the 25th, the family decided that they would spend half the day in Portland, spend half the day driving, and then stay at another hotel. They had a look at where to stay and found the perfect place, right in between Portland and California. This place was the 22-ton Lodge, which was located near Gold Beach. After spending the morning in Portland, the family set off for the 22-ton Lodge mid-afternoon. They had now been driving for quite a few hours when at 9 PM they stopped off at a Denny's to grab some food. After finishing their dinner, the group once again hit the road, but they never made it to their destination.
They'd been driving around for 2 hours when James realised he'd made a wrong turn. The road that they should have gone down was Route 42, but due to a tree branch blocking the sign, they missed it. At this point, the family knew that they had missed Route 42, so opened up their map and decided to go down Route 23, otherwise known as Bear Camp Road. On the map, it looked like a perfect shortcut through to Gold Beach. What it didn't show on the map was that the road was a seasonal narrow access road. Nobody should be driving on it in winter. A sign just before the turning read, "Danger. Remote road system ahead. Danger. You could get stranded and die." Nevertheless, the family took the turn for Bear Camp Road, and this is when their nightmare begun. The last time James was seen by anyone bar his family was when he stopped off at a gas station just before Bear Camp Road. He asked the attendant for directions, but the assistant didn't understand where he was trying to go. Bear Camp Road quickly inclined to an elevation of 4,000 metres from 900. The road was unsafe, narrow and not maintained, and to make things worse, it began to snow. 10 miles down Bear Camp Road, James and his family came up to a fork in the road. It wasn't clear which one was the right way. James decided to take a right turn. Unfortunately, this was the wrong turn, which took James on a maze of winding roads.
Just past the fork, the Kims passed through this gate. It is normally locked for the winter, but that night the gate was open. Vandals had broken the lock.
Around an hour later, Katie, who had been asleep, woke up to a worrying sight. She awoke to see James in distress, his hands tightly gripping on the steering wheel. Outside, heavy snow was falling, and due to this, visibility was next to none. Kim wanted James to turn around, but the roads were narrow, so he wasn't able to. After driving several more miles, James stopped the car. The snow was falling fast. They went to call for help, but there was no signal on their phones. The couple both agreed to go back. James was still unable to turn around, so had to reverse backwards through the narrow mountain road. For hours, James drove backwards. Katie said he opened his door so that he could see better the side. There was a huge drop on one side of it. Huge. And it was night time, so we couldn't tell how far the drop was. It was terrifying. Eventually they reached an intersection. At this point, it was very late, and they were running low on gas and were completely lost. The snow had turned into rain, which was melting the snow, so they thought the best thing to do was wait until daylight. They idled the engine to keep the car warm, and eventually fell asleep. Unfortunately, during the night, the snow had picked up, and when they woke up, they found their car was trapped under snow and ice. Katie said, "We were just waiting to get found at that point, and we were certain that somebody was going to come and find us. But sadly, no one did."
At first they didn't panic. They played board games and ate snacks that they had prepared for the journey. The hours ticked by, but no one came. James had recalled a snowplow at the start of the road, which he thought must come through on a Monday, so once again, the family huddled together in the back of their Saab and hunkered down for another night. The snow continued to fall heavily. On the Monday, the family was still hopeful that they would be rescued, but food was running low and the kids were tired and cold. They also had another problem. Bears were starting to circle the car. Katie said, "I remember seeing bears out there. I remember seeing bears that looked like they were scaling a mountain, going straight down a cliff. I got the baby out of her seat and I zipped her up in my sweater. I knew that bears were scared of loud noises. We were repeatedly honking the horn all night. We were scared to death. Nobody came to help. So once again, the family slept in the car with the engine idling. It was now Tuesday, and their food supply was nearly gone. Because of this, Katie decided to breastfeed both the children. James had resorted to digging through bear droppings to find berries for him and his wife to eat. Both of the children were now pale and quiet, which worried both James and Katie tremendously. Another day passed, another day without rescue. The family woke up on Wednesday morning to a terrifying reality. Their car had now ran out of gas. The family were now freezing and with no way to heat themselves were worried that they may die. Katie recalls her children became sad and thin and had stopped smiling. Back at home, a family friend had realised that James and his family still hadn't returned and reported the family missing. Over the next few days, unaware to James and his family, their story had captured massive media attention and search parties were put together to find them. By now, James had burned all of his tyres to keep his family warm, but the fires didn't last long, and that Thursday they began to plan for the worst. Katie said, "I made him promise me that if anything happened to the children and if they died," she said, "that he would take his pocket knife and he would slit my wrists and he would lie us all out in the snow together." The search for the family was fully underway. In addition to search and rescue teams, James's father commissioned a team of 25 people and 3 helicopters from Carson Helicopter Service Inc., but at the start, there were no leads. One police spokesman stated, "We're going to have our troopers drive some of the routes they might have taken to Gold Beach, but we're hoping for more thorough tips from the public if anyone's seen them." Over the next few days, rescue teams tirelessly searched for the Kim family, but to no avail.
It was now day 7, December the 2nd. The Kim family were tired, cold and hungry. James knew his family wouldn't last much longer, and as a last resort, decided he would brave the snow and search for help. He studied the map and believed there was a small town called Gallus 4 miles away. He believed that he could walk there in a few hours and get help. Believing it was their only option left, James set off in search for Gallus. In the meantime, 2 cell phone engineers in Medford, Oregon, named Eric Fuqua and Noah Pugsley, offered to assist rescuers in finding the Kims by tracing their cell phones. On the 9th day, they managed to narrow their location, which led to helicopter pilot John Rackner spotting the families and radioing for help. Katie and her daughters were suffering from starvation and frostbite, but they were saved. She thought the nightmare was over, but when she asked detectives if her husband was okay, they looked at her puzzled. James had never showed up in any of the nearby towns for help, and hadn't been found. Understandably, she was crushed. Joe Rice, who assisted with the rescue, said, "We went from this emotional high to this devastating low of, we've only got 3. We need 4. Rescuers were now working against the clock to find James. Unfortunately, on the 6th of December, 4 days after he had set off, James was found laying in icy waters. He was dead. It was estimated that he died 2 days after he set off. He had walked over 16 miles. Tragically, he was 1 mile away from Black Bar Lodge when his body gave in, 1 mile away from safety. Before entering the dangerous and incredibly steep Big Windy Creek Valley, James Kim hiked 5 miles back up the road. No one knows why Kim took the creek instead of the road, but hypothermia is known to make you act irrationally.
Mr. Kim walked from his vehicle 3 miles uphill, and for whatever reason, he decided that he was no longer going to walk on the road, and he went off the roadway into the drainage. There's a creek down there. He continued down the creek bed several more miles.
At 12:03 hours today, the body of James Kim was located down in the Big Windy Creek.
James was laid to rest in Oakland on December the 12th, 2006. The incident drew widespread attention, which led to investigations into people going missing in the wilderness to be improved. He did not die in vain. If somebody were to find themselves in the same situation today, there is a greater likelihood that they would be located sooner. A few years later, in his memory, the James Kim Technology Foundation was created to ensure pupils in San Francisco schools have access to technology. I hope Katie Kim and her daughters are doing better today, and as always, thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't, and let me know what you think in the comments below, and as always, please be respectful. Thank you.